My gosh. What did you do this weekend?
We went to the fair last night and I saw a truck pull for the first time, which was very
Cute.
fun. Very fun.
So the trucks are pulling things
The
or
trucks,
things are pulling trucks.
I thought it was things are pulling trucks, but turns out, plot twist, trucks are pulling things.
Got it. Okay.
It's in fact
What kind of things do they pull?
oh uh it kind of looks like my brain said escalator. No, the crane.
Excavator.
It looks like a crane with wait, hold on. It look you know how a crane has like the box so that it can control
Yeah.
what the okay, so there's imagine a box
Uh-huh.
and then a long open uh crap
Space.
platform. Yeah, a platform.
Uh,
And
uh-huh.
inside there's weights, and when
Uh-huh.
the truck pulls it, the weight pulls forward and it's supposed to slow the truck down, but they have to like make it all the way across. I don't, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I explained that very well.
Okay, so they're pulling weights basically, but they're not pulling actual things.
It's a thing. It's a
Oh, it is a
huge
thing. So it's
yeah.
a power tool thing.
Um yeah.
Yikes. Oh God. Do they use
Oh
it in construction?
no,
What do they use it for,
not
Kirsten?
this. This exact.
Okay, so they're
I mean
not pulling like real life things. They're
it is
just
a
pulling like things for the truck pull.
uh, not explaining
Bear
this
with
very
us,
well.
folks, while Kirsten reboots.
Let me hold on. I have a video. Hold on.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm Blair.
And I'm Kirsten, and we are mediocre content. And it's another low week. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, we're struggling, you guys. We're
It's
having the
just,
time.
it's just been a very busy couple of weeks with like work and then random crises. So, you just
Yeah,
rolling with the punches, honestly.
honestly. Yeah. I mean, it's just been like, have we checked if is Mercury in retrograde again? Like, what's the,
I'll
what's
look it
the
up.
plan? Somebody needs to check because I feel like
Uh,
we've just been going through it.
let's find out. Oh my gosh, I just thought of one, a two, a three.
Two, three. Is that
That
from
throws me back.
Aristocats?
That is from
Oh, what is
the
that from?
Tootsie Pop commercial.
Oh yeah, from
Yeah,
the owl. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah.
I was thinking
Um,
geese from Aristocats for some reason. I don't know why.
it says, no, something else must be bumming you out.
Great. Thank you
Oh
so much. Did you just type that into Google?
no.
And Google was like, not today, friend.
Not today. It says Mercury turns retrograde on the 23rd, so we're almost there.
Okay.
So maybe
Okay.
it's just like a prelim round before,
Yeah.
before we're
Or maybe
assaulted.
is out of control. I mean, we're both in our
Yeah,
29th year, so that could be it.
honestly, it very well could be. And you know what? At this point, I feel like we just have to haphazardly embrace it to
Yes.
the best of our ability.
Yep. Embrace the suck.
Ugh. And it is sucking quite a bit. But the good news is we are one after today, we are one away from finishing this rather enormous solar series, which is quite a feat for us,
True.
I think.
10 weeks of solar series.
10.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed.
It's been a joy. So yeah, we got Earth today, obviously. And then if you're wondering, excuse me, that's all the planets. I would say you are correct. We're doing the sun next. So hold your horses. We did the moon. You got to do the sun.
Because the sun technically is part of the solar system.
It is. It's
So I feel like that it
kind of
fits.
vital.
Yeah, it brings us all together at the
I
end of the
would
day.
say
Yeah. The gravitational pull is strong with that one.
me and the sun, close.
Tight.
So tight. Well, you definitely are though, because you're a Leo.
I am. I am. Believe it or not. Those of you who have met me is probably like, wow,
Wow.
could not be a Leo, but
Or the
I
opposite.
am.
They're like, wow, this explains so much.
Yeah, I don't think I present as a Leo though. I really
Yeah.
don't. I mean, unless you like, I think to the people who are closest to me, you
Mm,
absolutely see it, but
mhm.
like I don't, if you just meet me or don't know me that well, you would,
Yeah,
I wouldn't, my first guess would not be Leo for
that's
her.
fair. Oh, that's fair.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
yeah. We want to
yeah.
disclaim.
Yeah, I'll disclaim. So,
Okay.
um, let's see. So before we get started, obviously we're not experts on anything. If we know one thing, Kirsten gets her planet information from NASA. So
True.
that's clearly not what we come to the table with.
No.
If you have come to the podcast to get any kind of advice, we don't give that here. But if you want to learn about things and maybe spark your interest in researching your own topics, then please come and hang out with us. Also, did you guys hear that pee? It was like
It was perfect.
it was perfect.
Perfect
And
P.
I got a new mic, so we're working out some stuff. So if I sound really like close to the microphone up here
Ugh,
like this, it's because my other microphone, I basically had to like touch it to get the right volume. So
it's
now
music to my ears.
I think I can be back a little more. What do
It
you
sounds
think?
good.
That's good.
I want you to eat the mic, please.
No.
Delicious.
So anyway, do your own research. Tell us when we're wrong. You guys know the drill by now if you've been listening for any amount of time. So
Indeed. And
with
Blair's
that,
got the good
I
news.
know I'm going to take us right into the good news. And this, I think, is my favorite good news story so
Okay.
far.
I'm excited.
You are a fan of Mr. Rogers, which I believe our entire generation grew up with Mr. Rogers. He
Mhm,
put me
mhm.
right to sleep for nap time. So I think, he is an iconic role in my childhood for a lot of reasons.
Indeed.
Um, so it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Haven't you heard? Mr. Rogers said so. And now his simple advice on how to be a good person has been backed up by sophisticated polling data. As
Oh,
part of the as part of the Gallup National Health and Well-being Index, saying hello to more than one neighbor has shown to correlate with greater self-perception of well-being. Averaged across 5 dimensions that included career, communal, physical,
oh.
financial, and social well-being, the
Dimension.
increase. Wait, did I glitch out?
No.
What's
You said
happening?
dimensions, and I was like, dimensions. And I was like, oh, like you listed career, communal, physical. And I was like, we're in
Yeah,
the fifth dimension.
no, not space-time continuum
Okay,
dimensions. We're
sorry.
not. It's not that crazy. Um, so across those dimensions, um let's see, the increase which greeting a neighbor had led to around a 2 point increase on a scale of 0 to 100 up until the sixth neighbor, at which point the further greetings had no measured impact. So if you say hello 5 of your neighbors, you are increasing your health being.
Nice.
Congratulations. Be
Congratulations.
social, everybody.
Or down. No, I was kidding.
Interestingly, when the well-being scores are looked at individually and not averaged together, the sixth neighbor is where the perception of well-being in life peaks for social and communal well-being, but not financial well-being.
Hmm.
Um, Perception of financial well-being kept on climbing and climbing, only to cease at the 11th such greeting. A
Hmm.
profound revelation. Repeated positive social interaction benefited perception of personal finance even more than personal sense of community. Men were more likely to greet their neighbors than women, as well as were people with under the age of 18 in the household, and people with a household income of more than 120K a year.
Wow.
Individuals aged 40 to 65 were the most common greeters of neighbors, which does not surprise me.
Not at all.
And 27% of the over 4,000 participants greeted 5 neighbors or more in a day.
Wow.
Recent Gallup research in partnership with Meta has shown that the US compares favorably with other nations around the world in social interaction. Notably, greeting neighbors is also linked to career well-being as well as physical and financial well-being. And the associations found among these latter three elements are more multifaceted in nature and could be reinforced in part through correlations found with social and community well-being. So basically, if you say hi to your neighbors and develop a relationship with them, you develop a sense of community, and therefore you do better in your life.
Nice.
Congratulations. We are meant to be social creatures. As introverted as I am as a person, I was shocked.
I was shocked. I was shocked. Shook it.
She had no words.
That is super cute.
Anyway,
though.
yeah. I mean, if you're ever wondering whether you should say hi to your neighbor, now selfish interest in doing so, honestly.
I wonder, did they, I'm so sorry if you said this already, did they say where they conducted this study again?
No, it just was like a Gallup National Health and Wellbeing Index. They didn't say like who it was.
Might be regional also. I'm just curious where they decided to host it. But maybe it was like multiple different areas at once.
Yeah.
Well, that's super cute.
I thought so. Yeah. I mean, it's in the US, but that doesn't really narrow it down too much. But like, it's in the US. It's not other countries or anything.
That's like saying it's in the universe.
Right.
That's awesome.
So the second piece of good news I have,
I love the name,
is about messages in a bottle. Mrs. Cassidy Beach was recently the latest in a long chain of people to be walking along a beach or harbor and see a dark green bottle with a letter in it.
Ooh.
Spooky.
So spooky.
This one she found on a beach in the, how do you say that, Kirsten? Archipelago. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Of the Turks and South Caicos Islands in the Caribbean, north of Haiti. Dated September 20th, 2004. It was adrift Mr. Pennell Ames, a commercial fisherman from Nantucket. Between 2000 and 2006, Ames threw of these bottles off his boat, Great South Channel. They have washed up and been found in Portugal, Spain, France, Ireland, Great Britain, Florida, and all over the Caribbean and the Canary Islands. 80 people have taken the time to remove the artificial corks and read the letter inside and write back.
Oh my God.
Together with his wife, Sharon, and their two daughters, Pennell Ames perfected the techniques for preserving penned paper inside glass and have every once in a while pulling a strange letter out of the mail and reading where their bottles have arrived. He says you get your mail and you kind of know your bills and familiar people who send stuff to you. But then all of a sudden you get an envelope and you go, oh, wow, I don't know that person. That's a bottle letter.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So letters from people who found bottles thrown by Pennell Ames, courtesy of his Ames. Sometimes they're in English, but often they're in Spanish, owing to the Canary Current being bringing their bottles down to countries like Cuba and the Dominican Republic. The currents of the Atlantic Ocean keep all the bottles north of the equator, moving in big ocean gyre in a clockwise motion around the North Atlantic.
Cute.
Yeah. So I guess in their Nantucket home, they have scrapbooks and photographs and postcards of all these letters that they've received from all these different people. They have a book that's like dedicated to letters from France alone.
Specifically.
Yes. Yeah. So this particular woman who found this letter was working to get data on harbor porpoises and dolphins.
So random.
And so she wasn't too far from their house when she was doing this. And so she went and like visited.
Oh,
them.
wow.
Yeah. So
that's so cute. I love
nice
that
little story. Yeah.
I
obviously like
that.
Don't litter in the ocean on purpose.
Don't do that.
This is cool. This is cool.
Yeah. And if it makes it somewhere super neat, you might even get a response. which is
right?
so
I
stinking
know.
cool.
Super cool. So
Wow.
anyway, that's the good news for today.
That was excellent good news. I see how that was trending on your favorites there. That was pretty
Yes.
decent. Really
Yeah.
good.
Thank you so
Wholesome.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
I'm yeah,
They were both very nice.
they were very nice. And not science related, which is new for us every now and then.
I know. I
Yeah.
try my hardest, let me tell you.
It's a challenge.
Especially when
Um,
we have a science related episode already. I'm like, I can't bore these people with more science. Like we really need a little to mix it up a little bit.
you do, you got to keep it fresh, you know.
Fresh.
I am going to drop you guys into a little bit of science today. The good news is, though, in addition to that good news, the additional good news is Earth is pretty easy, and honestly, we'll probably speed through it because we live here. So we know a lot
Indeed we
about
do.
it.
Indeed we do. I'm hoping that I'll learn something about Earth that I don't know already.
Oh, okay. Challenge accepted. As scientists, I was also intrigued to know if there was anything in here I didn't know. So maybe you'll find something.
Maybe. Maybe.
Okay. So let's start with the basics, I guess, as we do with all the other planets. This one certainly wouldn't be any different. Um, our planet is third from the sun, and the only place we know so far, hint, hint, wink, wink, that is inhabited by living beings. We don't know really that as we've discovered.
Hint, hint, wink, wink.
I mean, honestly, how do we know? You can say what you want. There are tons of things that we've talked about in previous episodes where moons might have the ability to provide life and water and things. So,
Sure.
It's all relative.
Sure.
Earth is only the fifth largest planet in the solar system, and it is the only world in our solar system where liquid water is on the surface, which again,
I love my water when it's liquid. It's the best.
That Blair is so happy with this one.
Yes.
Thrilled.
I mean, it's good in ice form too, but like other than it's useless.
How do you feel about hydrogen being a gas with or a water? How do you feel about
I think
its
that's fine.
transient
I think
states?
that's fine.
Okay, how do we feel about
I
helium
think
being water?
helium as a gas is fine. Helium as
Water?
a gas is fine. Helium in water, I don't know. I don't know if I've encountered that.
So
I like
also,
my atmosphere to be partly nitrogen. Just putting that out there.
I want raging gas storms that just burn forever. But again, I would like to caveat that whole, oh, it's the only liquid water on the surface. There was a moon that we discussed that did have literal geysers coming out of it. So again, relative. And it is just slightly larger than Venus, which we also know is kind of Earth's twin. We already went over that many millennia ago at this point. And Earth is the biggest of the four planets that are closest to the sun, all of which are terrestrial. So that's just the planet type.
Yes.
Naming origins, it was given its name at least 1,000, or the name Earth is at least 1,000 years old. All of the planets except for Earth were named after Greek and Roman gods and goddesses. So sorry, Blair, we have broken the streak. It's
okay.
Sag time.
It's all right. I'll make an exception.
But it is a Germanic word, and it just simply means the ground, which isn't very creative, in my opinion. But
you know what? It's simple and succinct and only one syllable. So I think, the branding was on point.
You know what? That's fair. We are over 9 million miles from the sun, or I'm so sorry, 94 million, my apologies, or 151 million kilometers away from the sun. So we're still a pretty good distance. Obviously not as far as Pluto. That would be insane. Its one-way light time is about 8 minutes. So just so you know, as you're standing in the sun, that sun had to take 8 minutes to get to you. So yeah.
So that sun is from 8 minutes ago.
That absolutely it is. 8 minutes ago, sun. This is old sun. I want new sun.
I know. I like honestly, I'm getting burned by 8-minute old sun.
You are. That's how powerful the sun is.
I love that. I love that for me.
So now every time you get a sunburn, just think, I was literally charred alive from 8 minutes ago sun.
And 8 minutes in the past.
Past sun. Yep. Obviously, our year is 365 days, give or take, because the length of one day is 23.9 hours. So you've been lied to.
So technical.
Hey, I'm just reading what NASA said. Nobody's put a ring on it, so we don't have any of those. Kind of sad. But we do have a moon, which we've covered before, so I'll go into this very briefly. Earth is the only planet that has a single moon, so, we're very loyal. Our moon is the brightest and most familiar object in the night sky, and in many ways, the moon is responsible for making Earth such a great home because it stabilizes our planet's wobble, which has made the climate less variable over thousands of years. And the moon is an average of 238,000 miles away from Earth, which is 384,000 kilometers. And that means 30 Earth-sized planets could fit in between the Earth and the moon. It's a lot of Earths.
Every time you talk about like the moon and like stabilizing our environment, I always think of that Dwight Schrute quote where he's like, I wish I was a woman because women menstruate and that means they're more in tune with the phases of the moon. And I'm just like, that's obviously I paraphrased, but like that is it's so funny to me.
It's
perfect.
I don't know why. It's literally perfect. Something I did not know, which is fun and stupid because I feel like it's very obvious now that I've read it. Earth sometimes takes on asteroids and large rocks in its orbit, just steals them from the space and
for funsies.
And they are typically trapped by Earth's gravity for a few months or years before returning to orbit around the sun. Some asteroids will be in a long, quote, dance with Earth as both then orbit the sun together. And I think that's kind of romantic.
It is romantic. Earth needs a girlfriend.
She do. She really do. Some moons are bits of rock that are captured by a planet's gravity, but our moon is likely the result of a collision from billions of years ago, which I think we touched on briefly when we discussed the moon in the first place. So when Earth was a young planet, a large chunk of rock smashed into it, displacing a portion of our Earth's interior. The resulting chunks clumped together to form the moon with a radius of just over 1,000 miles or 1,700 kilometers, and it is the 5th largest moon overall in the solar system. So that's cute. And we're not going to do much more on the moon because we already covered the moon.
Yes.
But what's she look like though? So Earth has a radius of just under 4,000 miles or 6,000 kilometers. Again, double it up, you get its diameter. As Earth orbits the sun, it completes one rotation every 23.9 hours. And it takes 365.25 days to complete one trip around the sun. And that's why we've integrated all these crazy things into our calendar. Poor February, really.
Leap year.
Yeah. It's sad. We did our best. And that extra quarter of a day presents the challenge. We decided February was going to take the hit for that. So Earth's axis of rotation is tilted 23.4 degrees with respect to the plane of Earth's orbit around the sun, and this, of course, causes hour seasons in most parts of the world. During part of the year, the northern hemisphere is tilted toward the sun, southern is away. With the sun higher in the sky, solar heating is greater in the north, producing summer there, naturally.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the opposite is that less direct solar heating produces winter in the south. And then 6 months later, it just reverses the whole thing. And that's seasons along the hemispheres. But of course,
and that's seasons.
And that's seasons. And I just explained seasons.
Exactly. Good job.
Science. And of course, that's different in different parts of the world. And if you're at the equator, you just kind of sit there and
have nice weather all the time.
Have nice weather. I guess.
And the occasional hurricane, I guess.
Absolutely.
And that's it.
Yeah. Small things. Yeah. Structure-wise, we're talking 4 main layers of the Earth. It's got that inner core in the center, enveloped by the outer core, the mantle, and then the crust. And if you were any, elementary school biology class, you probably had to make a model at some point. So that's
Earth science.
Absolutely.
Earth science. Yeah.
That's this. The inner core is a solid sphere made of what they think is iron and nickel metals, which is about 759 miles in radius, or just over 1,000 kilometers. The temperature is as high as over 9,000 degrees Fahrenheit, 5,400 degrees Celsius. That's hot as crap. And surrounding the inner core is, of course, the outer core that is about 1,400 miles or 2,300 kilometers thick and also made of iron and nickel fluids. So instead of solid, it's fluid. In
Great.
between, great. So thrilled about that. In between the outer core and the crust is the mantle, which is the thickest layer. And this hot, viscous mixture of molten rock is about 1,800 miles or 2,900 kilometers thick and has the consistency of caramel, but I would not recommend eating it. The outermost layer, the crust, goes about 19 miles or 30 kilometers, so significantly less deep. And at the bottom of the ocean, the crust is thinner and extends about 3 miles or 5 kilometers from the seafloor to the top of the mantle, which is horrifying for me to think about, but also explains why the potential for vents in the bottom.
Yes.
You know, it just is hot. Okay. The surface, which we have one, aren't you thrilled?
I currently live there. So yes, that would
So
be good.
thrilled. Like Mars and Venus, Earth does, of course, have volcanoes, mountains, and valleys. And Earth's lithosphere, which includes the crust, most continental and oceanic, and the upper mantle, is divided into huge plates that are constantly moving, or tectonic plates, if you want the official term. For example, the North American plate moves west over the Pacific Ocean basin, roughly at a rate equal to the growth of our fingernails, which is pretty fast.
I mean, yeah, depending on who you are, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Earthquakes result when these plates grind past one another, ride up over one another, collide to make mountains, or even split, i.e., like the trench, like the Mariana Trench. It's pulling away, which is causing that problem. Not really a problem. It's just the plates.
The Marianas Trench freaks me out. I don't know why.
It should.
It freaks me out.
The Marianas Trench should freak you out, in my opinion, as much as like the Himalayas and like the biggest mountains are. You know?
This is the thing though. Mountains don't freak me out because we've been to the top of them. You know what's there. The Marianas Trench freaks me out because we don't know what's at the bottom of it, and it's stressful. Like the bottom of the ocean freaks me out for that same reason. Like there's so much unknown in the ocean, and the creatures look so weird. As the deeper you get, it's like way weirder.
Now just take that and imagine that same trip just like expanding indefinitely, and now you've got like
it's
a whole host.
Our personal one crust, which is super annoying.
Super annoying. Get it together.
Right.
You're freaking me out.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, you know, the Earth's ocean, which as we know covers about 70% of the planet's surface, has an average depth of about 2.5 miles or 4 kilometers and contains 97% of Earth's total water. Which is why it freaks Blair out, because we can't see anything below there.
It's correct.
Horrifying. Almost all of Earth's volcanoes are even hidden under these oceans. I was talking about the vents as we were talking as well, but also you have the ones that come out of the water, such as Hawaii's Mauna Kea. I don't know if Mauna Kea.
I think so.
Volcano, which is taller from base to summit than Mount Everest. But because the majority of it's underwater, you wouldn't know that because it's hidden, which I think is scarier.
Cool. That's a very interesting fact.
You love
I love that. I do. I love mountains. Yeah. And I think it's really cool especially the Hawaiian mountains are really cool because basically they were just sea volcanoes at one point, and they just kept like layering on each other until they got above sea level, and then we were like, hey, we can live here, and so that's what we did,
which is just a very human thing to do.
Right, exactly.
Oh, this thing shoots molten lava. That's the one.
That seems like a great time.
So yeah, that was the fun fact I didn't know, which is great.
That's cool. I didn't know that either. That's neat.
So that means then that Earth's longest mountain range is also underwater at the bottom of the Arctic and Atlantic Oceans, and it is 4 times bigger than the Andes, Rockies, and Himalayas combined, which is insanity.
Truly.
But I have seen, when they do those specials on like History Channel where they talk about the Titanic or like other shipwrecks, and they always do that topographical like overlay of what the ocean would look like without the water in it.
Mm-hmm.
That's fascinating, because if you see any of those and you just see the topography of it, you're like, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yep.
Like everything's in the water.
I would be like, obviously this would be detrimental to our environment, but like it would be so cool to be able to just drain the oceans and see like what's all there and then put it back,
And you're like, nobody die real quick. I'm gonna just suck it out and then I'll put it right back. I promise.
Yeah, like with a giant vacuum, like a giant space vacuum or something.
I imagine you with the straw at the edge of the water, just doing your best.
Right.
I will see what's under there.
Salty water. It's not good.
So salty. Oh gosh.
No.
You'd be so dehydrated.
So my kidneys would be so upset with me.
They would be like, girl, I know you have goals, but come on.
Come on now.
Oh my gosh. Okay. We'll take a break from topography. We'll go to the atmosphere now.
Okay.
So near the surface, Earth has an atmosphere, which is great for us, if I had to say. This atmosphere consists of 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and 1% other gases, which is great, which is just like a whole smorgasbord. Argon, CO2, neon, you name it, it's there. And the atmosphere affects Earth's long-term climate and short-term local weather, while also shielding us from lots of radiation coming from the sun and protecting us from meteoroids, which just burn up in the atmosphere, and then we get to watch them perish in the atmosphere at night, which is just kind of sad. I know, you say it like that, it's kind of sad.
It is.
Welcome to my atmosphere. You'll never leave it.
You will never leave.
So scary.
That is terrifying. Oh my God.
We also have a magnetosphere, which is exciting. Our planet's rapid rotation and molten nickel iron core give rise to a magnetic field, which the solar wind distorts into a teardrop shape in space. The solar wind is a stream of charged particles that just continuously get ejected from the sun. And when charged particles from the solar wind become trapped in Earth's magnetic field, they collide with air molecules above our planet's magnetic poles. These air molecules then begin to glow, causing the aurorae, or the northern and southern lights. So that's the only reason we have them. It's pretty stinking cool.
Yes. I think that they're super cool. Before, I've never seen them.
I don't think I've ever seen them before. I think even here you might, I don't know. I've heard stories that in the upper United States you might be able to see some, but I'm not 100% on that.
Yeah, I know Canada and Alaska you can.
Yeah. But I don't think I've ever seen them. At least I don't remember being up high enough to do that.
Yeah.
But the magnetic field is what causes even your compass needles to point to the North Pole, regardless of which way you turn, which is pretty nifty, if I do say so myself. But that magnetic polarity of Earth can change and flip the direction of the magnetic field, which I don't think a lot of people know, which can be a little disconcerting. The geologic record tells scientists that a magnetic reversal takes place about every 400,000 years on average, but the timing is extremely irregular. As far as we know, such a magnetic reversal doesn't cause any harm to life on Earth, and the reversal is very unlikely to happen for at least another 1,000 years, so don't freaking panic, is what I'm saying.
Right.
It's not a big deal.
Right.
But when it does happen, compass needles are likely to point to many different directions for a couple centuries, then the switch will be made, and after that, they will all point south instead of north, obviously, because it's a reversal.
Makes sense.
So we'll either change our compasses or know if it points south that's south now, and
something is wrong. Something is deeply wrong.
I'm so confused. So now that we've flipped you upside down, I say we give you a little break.
Sounds good.
This ad is an actual ad. However, we will still not be benefiting from this. This is an ad for our Twitch stream. You can watch us do a live podcast every other Thursday. Come hang out and interact with us and maybe catch a Pokemon or two. And maybe, just maybe, learn something. But honestly, the chances are slim. Catch us on Twitch at 6 p.m. EST or 3 p.m. PST, or a different time in a different time zone that is not in the United States.
We would love to chat with you, and definitely let us know if you are an OG audio listener. Now, back to the regular audio pre-recorded podcast. Cheers! Also, don't forget to rate us 5 stars. Okay, now back to the pod.
Welcome back. The next section, as you can probably deduce, given the structure of the podcasts with the Solar series, isn't going to be very long, honestly, because usually what we talk about is the potential for life, formation, and exploration, which is kind of funny if we're talking about Earth in those categories.
I mean, we know that we live here already, so it's fine.
What? Crazy.
Shocking.
So we'll just touch on it briefly. I have a couple of things to add that is a little out of the norm, just because it's very specific to this case. So life on Earth is very hospitable in terms, mostly, in terms of temperature and the mixture of chemicals that we have that, made life abundant here. But most notably, which is something that everybody keeps going back to anytime they look into a new planet or a new moon, is water, and in particular, liquid water. So it's most unique to our planet in general. It's covered in it. And since the temperature allows liquid water to exist for extended periods of time, Earth's vast oceans then also provide convenient places for life to begin about 3.8 billion years ago and allow us to sustain, for the most part, pretty well, I would say.
Yes.
And so when we look at, even Earth's twin, Venus, and we see that it also used to be that way, the question that we talked about even then is, well, how did it not get that way? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
And so clearly in our minds and based on our research, that liquid water is the key. And so maintaining that and protecting that is vital, literally, to life on Earth. So that's about that. Formation-wise, when the solar system settled into its current layout about 4.5 billion years ago, Earth formed when gravity pulled swirling gas and dust to become the third planet from the sun. Like its fellow terrestrial planets, Earth has a central core, rocky mantle, solid crust. That's pretty much it.
My first thought when you said that, I don't know why, I think it was just the way that you said it or how it's written, is the Powerpuff Girls like intro where it was like it could be like
Sugar,
oxygen, hydrogen, and carbon. These are the ingredients to make the most habitable planet in the universe.
But humans accidentally environmental distress. Chemical X. You know what? It's not too far off.
No.
We need to do better. But anyway, you're right. It does sound like that.
Kinda.
Hey, I didn't know I was a Powerpuff Girl, but now I'm just gonna own it.
Yeah.
The next part is hilarious because it's exploration. And I just can't help but chuckle because, well, here we are. It's made up of complex, interactive systems that create a constantly changing world that we are all striving to understand. Thanks, NASA. That's really beautiful.
Thanks, NASA.
From the vantage point of space, we're able to observe our planet globally using sensitive instruments to understand the delicate balance among its oceans, air, land, and life. And those sensitive instruments are our satellites, our telescopes, our probes, pretty much anything that you can think of. We've got it to try and even better understand where we are. And a lot of our data on even like seismic activity and weather patterns and how to predict certain things. And, oh, well, if the ocean is rising in temperature, what could we possibly see and what kind of formulas create that? It's just literally a constantly moving target. but we've
True.
gotten so good, and the technology has also advanced so well that we are able to do that, which is good even outside of climate. It helps a lot of people as well. Obviously, we live here, and so having those predictions is really useful, especially with like hurricane season, tornado season, you name it. And that's all thanks to like weather and science. So
Weather and science.
it's cool.
Thank your local meteorologist
Yeah,
for
please do.
constantly being wrong.
It's the only job you can be and still get paid. That's what my mom
That's
said.
right. No, it's 100% true.
So in light of the fact that exploration is slightly, laughable when it comes to Earth, instead, what I've decided to focus on is, hey, we're kind of near the end of our solar series. If you have been really interested in this space adventure and you might be looking for ways to integrate yourself in a more spacey way, I've got a list of potential careers you might not have thought of, and others that seem extremely obvious.
Oh, this will be super fun. I'm excited.
Yes, I
Okay.
think it's cute, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, the most notable and obvious, of course, is an astronaut. If you want to go into space and you want to pave the way for future human exploration outside of Earth, we've got pilots, scientists, engineers, teachers, so many different types of astronauts that are needed. And it's not just one field, it's just a cover for all of these people who use their knowledge and basis to fund and field these explorations. So,
Yes.
if you want to be hands-on in the most literal sense of the way, astronauts for you.
Well, and I feel like we're entering an age too where becoming an astronaut is not as elusive as it once was.
It's true.
Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing has yet to be seen. But
Yeah.
they're talking about sending a lot of different kinds of people to space if you have the dough for it. So,
It's so true.
astronaut may not be an outrageous dream.
It's very true. And also, as we have discovered through our own talks in this series, there are also many planets and moons out there that we have anticipated flights to over the next couple of years. So now's the time. If you're in that realm and you're like wavering at all, freaking just go for it. It'll be like literally once in a lifetime.
Coming from two people who would probably never want to be an astronaut.
Look, I'm too claustrophobic for that. I can't.
There's no way.
No.
There's no way. Anyway, continue. Go ahead.
I would cry. Project manager, which you might not be like, NASA? What? Yes, absolutely. Any business requires project managers, and these specific ones will help guide missions from concept to completion, working closely with the team members to accomplish what they set out to do, which is literally what a project manager is, but space themed, and that's pretty dang cool.
Indeed. You could be Houston.
You could literally. This is
you could
Houston.
Be Houston. Yeah.
You are Houston. Embody Houston.
And you could be the one being told that there is a problem and it would be your job to fix it. So if you feel like you're ready for that.
If you feel like you want to take that on. Yeah, now nobody will ever be a project manager for NASA. No. I can't do Houston. Rover camera operator, also kind of elusive, but super fun.
That'd be super cool.
Look, if you're into battle bots, this is like the ultimate battle bot. Okay. Just throwing it out there.
Oh my God.
Basically, a camera payload uplink lead writes software and commands that tell rover what pictures to take is what you could do. You could design the rover, its functions, how it functions, when it functions, wherever in the universe this rover lands. That's freaking amazing. You are literal light years away from this thing, and it still knows what to do and is actively communicating with you. That's sick. That's freaking sick.
Yes. I wonder what the delay time is now. Like the delay.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because like I'm like
okay,
some guy in a room with a bunch of buttons.
Yeah.
And he's like, do it now. Like, and then he's like pushing it. And 20 minutes later, the robot's like chopping something 100 times because he can't
yeah.
The delay is too much. But anyway,
you never know.
I feel like be a very patient person for that.
Probably so. Yeah. And probably like software inclined, because you'll definitely need that.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's also artists that are needed, and they meld science with design, because what basically needs to happen is once we have something visual, we need to create large scale installations of this to show the public so people hang it in their bedrooms and go to museums and hype that crap up, because you know what science needs? Funding. And so to do that, they need you on board, literally and figuratively. So these artists have a huge job to capsulate all of the research, all of the visuals, and display it in a very community-based way to receive and support.
Yes. And that goes well to, well, and I think artists could also be like design of the
Yes.
ships and stuff. Like not the, but
Yes.
like, you know, the NASA
Technical
logo and
artists.
stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that also goes really well with media specialist, it sounds like
Yes.
too, because
Yeah.
obviously you need people to get hype
Yep.
about NASA.
Absolutely. And we're not just talking about aliens are real. We're talking about like full-on discoveries of like life-altering space things. Like
Yeah.
like finding geysers on a moon somewhere near Jupiter. Like that's huge, you know?
Yes. Um,
So, yeah.
I would recommend also taking a visit to your local Air and Space Museum.
Yes. Please do
Yeah.
that. And you'll find that a lot of the art and the plaques and the information that are posted there, they're all for stuff that but it might also have new installations every so often as this stuff becomes out and displayed in the public, and that's these beautiful people doing that.
Yeah.
Writing and producing, so they capture the stories of NASA missions and of course the people who share them, and there's already films and documentaries on these NASA flights. And you get the interviews, you get the real, like the keyed in look to what these people are experiencing and like what it's like out there. And honestly, you're now potentially encouraging, younger people or younger generations to explore this field seriously. And that boosts support, and that also boosts personnel and so on and so forth. So you're getting the word out again, just in a different way. Administration and direction is kind of important, I would say, for missions this size. So both directors and administrators work out of NASA headquarters, and they prioritize science questions that are seeking to expand the frontiers of discovery. So basically, they kind of help decide what to focus on and what kind of questions we have and what we need answered and when and all those great things. So if you have a mind for things like that, and if you have a mind for asking questions that can be explored, that would be good for you. Obviously, education is huge. So we're introducing the younger generation to space, physics, any of these people to heighten their curiosity and get the knowledge out there to the public. Engineering is huge. You got to have a ship to go on. So engineers help design and build
Yes.
all types of machines, and that includes the spacecraft itself, but it also goes to like the rovers and the probes and the satellites that go into functioning all of those things.
Yep.
And then, of course, a very basic but extremely important career path is just be a scientist. Pick a field that you're really interested in. It doesn't have to be space, but it could be astrophysics. It could be a volcanologist. It could be, figuring out the tidal system and different things that it tells us, because that's still space, but it's also very science-based, and it can help you discover other things that are obviously linked. Because if there's one thing I can say about this whole series and science in general, is almost 100% of the time, it's interconnected. And they all talk to each other in one way, shape, or form. So that's it. That's that's it.
I like it. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. So join a science career.
As you can see, Kirsten's very passionate about this. She was once a biology major
Was.
in college, and she did graduate with a bio degree.
Did.
And
Yeah.
I think, it is important to learn about your sciences, even if science is not really your thing. There are very palatable to like
Yeah.
learn.
Yep.
And museums are kind of cool.
I
So
love museums,
that's
man.
like my favorite way to learn about science and
Yeah.
history.
Yep. And the thing is, science is so broad. So, like, I have my BS, but I also have an MS, which is a Master of Science, and it's specific to marketing. So I'm a marketing scientist. We look at data and analytics and talk about how visuals impact users and, you know, how that translates to code and vice versa. And so it's literally in everything. And you can find pretty much any type of science you could think of that you might be interested in. And you just gotta discover it. You know, that's part of the fun.
Yep.
And Blair's a super scientist. She does human scientists. So she got human science.
Super science is that's a lot of pressure.
I'm sorry.
I think we need to narrow it down. It is health science. It is your
Super
least
science.
favorite class in high school, health science. Okay.
It's so necessary though.
Oh, 1,000%. I love health science. It's the best.
And again, two scientists, different fields, completely somewhat interconnected, because it all boils down to people and interactions and how all of that works. And it's beautiful.
Yeah. And learning how to think critically and, you know, analyze data and,
you
know, do things, learn from new information.
Yeah. Science.
Science.
And so that is a soapbox I want to leave them all on.
Okay.
If you enjoyed the soapbox, and if you're sad to see the Solar Series go after, you know, the next part where we just get boiled by the sun, you can let us know at mediocrecontentpodcast@gmail.com. We are on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitch, all at Mediocre Content Podcast. And Twitch is every other Thursday, so it's twitch.tv/Mediocre Content Podcast. And that's at, 3 p.m. PST, 6 p.m. EST, and 11 p.m. BST. I think that's right.
That's correct. And
okay,
if you're listening to this podcast on the day that it comes out, then 2 days from now we'll be on Twitch.
Yes, I think yes. I get dates messed up so bad.
I know, but I feel safe in telling them that it'll be good. So
and
keep an eye out. Not. Instagram will tell you guys like what's happening. So definitely, if nothing else, just follow us on Instagram and we'll keep you straight.
Yeah. Keep ourselves straight. My goodness.
Yeah. So every time I send out an Instagram message to announce Twitch, though, we have like a ton of problems.
So maybe you just won't know.
Yeah, right. So just bear with us, okay? We're doing the best we can. My internet is garbage too, in case anyone cares or wants to know, but it really is. So we're doing our best. And it's mediocre for a reason, you know?
That's right. That's literally what I was. And also, I say rate Blair 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts, because of her, you know, her internet. You help support us and keep us going.
That's right. That's right.
And that's about it. I guess we'll see them next week or this Thursday if you check us out on ye old Twitch.
Indubitably. We'll see you guys later.
Cheers.